Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. So in the last video, it was really short and I couldn't show you a whole lot of stuff because it's a grudge racer kind of guy, and those guys are, kind of secretive about their stuff, so I just kind of left it at that. But anyways, it's time to work on Bob. So in this video, well actually in this intro, I'm actually filming it after I've already done some of the work because somehow the intro got messed up. Nonetheless, we are here working on it and we have gotten quite a bit done. So I think what's going to happen today is the EGT probes or the bungs are welded in the headers. The headers are going to get put on the car, water pump, all the stuff on the front of the motor, and some miscellaneous doodads like that. So without further ado, let us get started on that and check it out and see where we end up at. All right, so some of the hurdles we have to overcome are right here. Like for example, in this throttle body, you can see it's really close to the valve cover right there, and I removed the coils. That's one problem. And the size of the Dominator compared to everything else that was in the car is the other problem. So as you can see, that's the Dominator. And this is where I would like to put it, and I think that might actually work. Just kind of have to adapt to the mounts that are already there, and that's really about it. After that, it's a whole bunch of wires. So I don't see any reason why it won't work, but I guess we'll just kind of play it by ear and see how that goes. Now, there is all the parts that go to the car that need to be on the car that are not on the car. And then, of course, there's some for the truck. Okay, Brian is here, and we've already got the front end and stuff off the car, and you can see he's struggling to break the lug nuts loose because we didn't break them loose when it was on the ground.
All right, I'm gonna go over here first.
So we are well on our way to getting it ready to start the wiring on it. So you can see everything is off the car, doors are out of the way, everything's taken out the inside. Now, I think I had mentioned this or maybe even showed it before, but this cold side, these little dudes right here are all leg weights. When if you guys remember back a couple of videos ago when we were at the track, look at Brian hiding, the track, and the car was doing wheelies real bad, and one of our solutions was to put those weights on the cold side pipe, get the weight out as far as we could over the front of the car, and we added 30 pounds, I believe. And as far as the wheelies are concerned, that day it didn't do anything to it. Didn't even phase it. And then, we followed that up. The following week is when we changed the suspension setup in the rear of the car and went to the shorter instant center and the lower anti-squat numbers. That's when the car started working. My only concern right now is when we put this thing back together, that cold pipe is not going to be there anymore, and likely to have to do something with that weight. Not sure on that part yet, but we do have much better electronics in the way of traction control, wheelie control, control for the control on the control, and things like that. So that's going to help a lot. But let us get a little further along getting this thing ready to work on, and I'll be back. Okay, so it's the next day, and I've skipped around a lot, mainly because I fought a lot of weird problems, namely the water pump. I'll show you that here in a minute, but let's talk about what we got to do here on the cold side on this thing. So I'm going to flip the camera around so you can see what we're looking at here. And all right, so on the cold side, I'm gonna have to take the turbo and spin the compressor outlet so it's level right here, more or less. And then the throttle body, as you can see, is pretty close proximity to this air manifold here where all the air lines go. So I think what I'm going to do to fix this is I have some plates left over from a previous project that'll bolt up here. And I'm going to put a small elbow right here and then another flange and just bolt the throttle body right here. And then the run into the compressor will be a little bit shorter. Now when I say that run into the compressor is going to be shorter, it's going to have less bends. And that may not work either. So one of two things are going to have to happen. Either I'm going to have to turn the upper intake around and put it on the other side of the car, kind of like a stock. Maybe you can hear that big ass Hornet out there. Turn it around to the other side, kind of like a stock 5 liter is, and continue running the cold side in the other fender apron like it was before. So you can see the old cold pipe comes out right here. And if I turn the intake around and point it this way, we'll just have to trim this piece over here and bring it up into the throttle body right there. And that may make things a little easier, but there's still plenty of time to think about that. And maybe even change things around, possibly even putting the other kind of upper intake on it where the throttle body inlet points out the front like it used to, and just continuing down that road. So still got a lot to do. Oh, let's look at that water pump. So this is the water pump that came out of the car taken apart, and as you can see here, this thing has seen better days. Really rusty and nasty looking. Same with the you know, the magnet portion of it, all rusty bad. And then what has apparently happened is this is the back plate for the motor. You can see that streak of rust there about the 6 o'clock position. I guess the seal where the motor goes into the actual pump part of it was bad, and it was leaking water into the motor, which is definitely not wanted. We knew it had been leaking. It had just had an ever so slightly slow drip, and it wasn't really beginning, you know, it wasn't getting under the car or anything weird like that. So while I had it apart, while I had the car apart, I took the water pump apart to see if it's something I could fix, and it wasn't, and that thing, you know, was pretty much ruined. Luckily I had a spare water pump, exact same kind, and I switched the housings out so I didn't have to change out that big fitting, and lo and behold, the new used water pump is I guess is a newer version or something, so it's has a better looking pump. The motor and stuff looks brand new. The, you know, the brushes and everything look brand new and all that jazz. So now that's on the car, and we are ready to start on, let's see, what are we gonna do next? Probably gonna put the EGT bungs on the headers and get the mechanical aspect of everything buttoned up. So let's get started on that. All right, so now we are on to the first order of business, and that is going to be getting the EGT probe set up. So I'm not quite sure exactly how I'm going to tackle this, but let's get a look at what's in the box and see what we got to do. Okay, getting warmer. All right, so we're unpacking the EGT box, and it looks like we can take these ferrules. We're just going to take them off, and you can see that there's that separate piece inside of there. We'll separate everything, so we don't want to weld on those with them together. There's no need to do that. I don't suppose it would hurt it, but it'd be my luck that the threads would go all together because they're stainless. Alright, so we're left with that piece right there, and then I want to cut the original one off the header and put that in its place right there like that. We may even be able to do something so simple as just weld it right on top of the one that's already there, which would probably be the best thing to do. Let's get a look at that and see how that's going to work out. Alright, time to get the EGT bungs welded in place now that I've dug them out and decided what I'm going to do. And it looks like I'm able to tack the bung on top of the old MPT bung that's there. Plenty of room for it. The new probes are shorter, so the overall distance or length will be similar. Get these bad boys tacked in place. Alright, that is all 8 EGT bungs welded in place. Time to clean the headers up, clean the goo off the flanges, and then put them back on the car. Then on to the next part, I guess. Okay, so I think we've come to a pretty good stopping point on this video. All the mechanical aspect is pretty much done. Well, here, let me show you. The headers, water pump, alternator, everything's pretty much on there. And the only reason we did that stuff first is so we have a good idea of where the wires and everything needs to be routed. So the only thing that's really left to do now is to seal the intake completely and to mount the coils before we start the wiring. So that's a really good place to end the video. And in the next video for the wiring, you're probably gonna hear a lot of bleep, 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 cuss words coming from me because it's gonna be a beating. So having said that, that's the good place to stop the video, guys. I certainly do appreciate everybody stopping by. If you have not, please do subscribe, give it a thumbs up, and be sure and check us out on Instagram also. And if you haven't noticed, I always put in the description the links to all the tools and things that I use on Amazon, so be sure and check that out as well. Outside of that, thanks guys. We'll see you in the next video.